So when taking accurate 3D measurements, there's a couple of ways you can do it. A lot of time people will use Scan Explorer. So this is like a 2D interface of RealWorks. So from here you can pull distance measurements as well. So the thing to note is this is a 2D interface with 3D point cloud information built in the back. The only thing you have to be careful here is when selecting a distance or a corner, sometimes you might think that you're actually selecting the corner of an object, but in reality you might be actually just selecting the ground. So there are a couple of things you got to be careful with. So if I wanted to pull the distance between the ends of the concrete pad here, we've got 3,434 mil. So then I can actually create this, so that's what I'm going to create it as a reference point. Just before I move back into RealWorks, Scan Explorer works really well if you're pulling dimensions that are, like we say, from wall to wall. If you're getting quick dimensions of a room, or again for the vertical from ceiling to floor. But where it comes in tricky is you're using the image not rather than the point cloud to pull accurate measurements. So Scan Explorer is a great reference tool for getting kind of rough distances, but if you want to get down to like the 16th of an inch, the best place to do that is actually from the point cloud. So if I go back to the point cloud, you can see here I just exported this here. Looks okay, but if you zoom in closer to the point cloud, we're probably going to be a little bit off. I'm just going to get my limit box extraction tool here, and then I'm going to pull this across just to give a better angle. Let's focus on this area here. And I'm going to go back to my isometric and pull this across to the other side of the concrete pad. That looks good. And maybe just remove the ground a small bit. So you can see here we got a pretty good viewing point. You're talking nearly about a 16th of an inch. It's more so here. You can see we're a small little bit off. If it's kind of hard to see, we can make the points a little bit bigger. So you can see how we're maybe about a quarter of an inch just off the concrete pad. So this probably isn't a big, maybe a small bit bigger. This isn't probably a big issue for concrete pads, but if you were taking a direct measurement of a pipe or getting a diameter, this is where it becomes a lot more important when actually getting that distance. The nice thing with the point cloud is I can actually zoom into the point cloud and physically select the corner that I want to measure from. So for example, I can turn on my measure ruler, have my measure distance on, and then I can actually physically select. You can see how it's auto selecting the points here. So I can like physically zoom into the corner. That looks pretty good, and then I can scroll out and come back to the opposite corner of the concrete pad. Maybe just swivel around to get a bit of a better angle. Somewhere around here looks pretty good. And I can create that. And close my distance. So we can compare the two of them there quickly, looking at the distances. Just let me swivel this around a little bit. So you're probably talking very small distances overall. And if I just go back in here to the point cloud, you can see the distance if I zoom into them. So we got 3,444 millimeters and 3,434 millimeters. So you're talking about, give or take 11 mil. So very small distances, but again, where that comes to be important is if you're prefabricating something, like for example a pipe or some sort, that's where you want to have as great as accuracy of possible. So that's just one thing to note in Scan Explorer. Is it's great for going from plane to plane, where it just becomes tricky for 3D measurements. If you have two planes that are kind of on the one surface, it becomes very important to where you actually physically pick it on the image itself.